Avi Meyer's Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at ntnm.org. Besides for being on the regular slots in Chicago, Evanston, and 35 north and northwest suburbs, we're also on YouTube, big on community policing, caps24.org. Jewish Chicago is coming out in a very few days. If you're watching this on TV, if you're watching this on YouTube, it could be any point in time from now to 10 years from now. The point is, if you want to have some input in the Jewish Chicago 2012 fall election issue, you gotta act now. So you can go to the website at ntnm.org. You can actually just, like Google Avi Meyers. And Sonny, that reminds me, I'll give you the rate card later to put up on the website. Thanks. And Sonny Hirsch, of course, is the technical crew. Listen, let's get down to business. We've got one of my favorite guests over the last few years, somebody I feel privileged to meet. And as a matter of fact, the last time he was on the show, one of my neighbors was asking who was the big shot that had the license plate, had GOV on it or something like that.
Yeah.
So, of course, we're talking about Scott Lee Cohen. Scott, how you doing?
Well, thank you. Nice to see you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. A happy New Year to you and your entire family.
Thank you.
And I know you're, you're spending time with your kids. And
I am spending time with my kids. I opened some new businesses. I went back to school.
Really?
And
what are you studying?
My bachelor's.
Nice.
It seemed to be an issue when I ran the last time. So when I run again, I don't want it to be an issue.
No, that sounds good. What kind of business?
Oh, I got the pawn shops.
Oh, you have a cleaners.
I have a laundromat.
A laundromat, right?
Cleaners,
I saw that on the web.
Correct. I ran into a situation where the IRS didn't get one of my tax returns.
Yeah.
I called my lawyer. I said, listen, take care of this. You know what? I got a levy because he never took care of it. So you know what I did?
Yeah.
I opened up a tax defense service. I did. You know what? If they're not going to do the work, there are 67 million cases that people need assistance resolving these issues because they're going to get levied and they're going to take away their assets. So it's a great company. It's about a month old now, and it's doing really well.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. And this isn't even that time of year.
No, it's not. Well, you know what? There's no time of year for levies and stuff. You know, the federal government wants their money, so they're always on the people.
Yeah, I found that out. I actually got audited once, and it turns out that they wound up owing me money, and the lady didn't like that.
No, I'm sure they didn't like that. But, nonetheless, people need to be represented, and I found that there's a big gap in that market. Very
cool. I like that. I like that very much. So let me ask you, because there used to be talk about that you might move to this neighborhood or other neighborhoods. Where are you living right now? We don't need your exact address, but just
I understand. Listen, I've always been an open person. They can have my address.
Yeah.
I live in Highland Park, and I live in Chicago. I have two residencies.
Cool.
We split our time up, and I have a young daughter who's still in high school.
Yeah.
So, Kieran, I got married, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So my wife wanted to be in the suburbs
besides
for her.
if nothing else, I also follow your Facebook feed, and every now and then too, I check your webpage, and it could be somebody like Kelly Tarrant or Michael Dobrow's gonna update me on you.
Right. Well, unfortunately, I haven't been on Facebook for a few months now. I've been so involved between school and these businesses, I haven't had time to do anything. Which is going to change. We talked a little bit before the show. A serious consideration to run again.
Now, can I ask what office you might be considering, or?
No, you can't ask. Of course you can ask.
Yeah, you don't have to answer though.
That's right.
Your prerogative.
I haven't made a final decision. After the election in November, I'll probably make an announcement. I'll have decided. It has to be an office that I can serve the people. People ask me, why do I want to run again, and what am I doing? Once it got in my blood, once I had a taste of it, I can't get rid of it. The desire to help the people, and especially, you see what's going on now. You just talked about it earlier, how people are leaving the state, how taxes are going up. Somebody needs to step up to the plate and do something.
It would be nice. It's funny because I know you don't live in this area right now. Ordinarily, I would more than welcome somebody to run against, evil Ira.
Yeah.
But
I've been asked that.
Yeah, but interesting. You talk about wanting to be at people's service.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he wants to be at people's cervix.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately, it's not just Ira, though. There's a lot of elected officials that don't have the best interests of the people in their heart.
oh, that's true. But, being a member of the Jewish community and publishing Jewish Chicago and living in his neighborhood, when I get to see what he and Deborah are doing to people, not for people, you're supposed to serve people. A guy like Bernie Stone, for all his faults,
I love
and
Bernie.
he had plenty
Bernie
of
was
faults.
a
I love
gentleman.
him too. Bernie would actually talk face to face with his enemies, and he'd try to win them over. And I want to tell you, people would be
What enemies?
surprised
He don't have any enemies.
because he turned them into friends. I got to tell you, you would be amazed how many people in his office originally worked against him, who learned to respect him over the years. As a matter of fact, I didn't support Bernie the first 4 or 5 times he ran.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, as a matter of fact, I was the scheduler in the first campaign for his opponent.
I'm leaving. Just kidding. Just kidding. You know.
And Ted Berlin was the guy's name, as a matter of fact. He was a professor of journalism. Well, and I don't know if he was a professor. I think he was at one time, but he was a journalist, a medical writer, very independent guy. And no, I worked against him. I didn't endorse in several elections, in Jewish Chicago. But when I finally actually got a chance to really see him in action more and more, I gained respect for him.
You know what I appreciated about Bernie? The knowledge that he had, the experience that he had. I would sit down, we'd go to lunch, and we would talk for hours. He's an incredible man.
He still knows. And I'll tell you, when he was on the show, and we always talk longer off the air than on the air, and people think I
We
talk
do
to
that
him.
too.
Yeah. You bring up a subject, people think he's getting older, whatever. He's getting older.
Aren't
But
we
you
all?
bring up an address, he'll give you the whole history of the
Wait a
zoning and
minute.
why he wouldn't
Wait,
do this. And,
You remember he was accused of sleeping in city council meetings?
yeah.
He wasn't sleeping. He heard everything that was going on. Bernie is a sharp guy. You can't take that away from him.
That's 100% correct. That's 100% correct. I definitely agree. So, a lot of this is just people have become so petty and mean, and I could go into detail. We've only got a little over a minute, so I want to talk about you.
Okay. Well,
So-
you know what? Hopefully you'll have me back on a show, and
I'll have you back.
we could talk about some issues. We never seem to talk about issues too much.
Well, let's do that next. You know what? As a matter of fact, one of the things is when I first had you on, I was a little tentative. Can you do a longer segment? And I've got to say, over the years, you're becoming more and more polished.
Oh, I appreciate it.
And you know what? Now I can
Wait,
see.
I got to interrupt
Go
you
ahead.
because, yes, I'm more polished, but you know what? I'm still a regular guy. I'm an everyday guy, and I'll always, no matter how polished I become, I will always have the interests of the people at heart, always.
One of the things I'll say, and I'm going to say this, and everybody knows that I'll get in trouble for saying things I believe and all the rest of it. There is no question in my mind that Scott is doing things from the heart.
Always.
He really
Always
is.
have.
And you've got to understand it. And you know what? One of the reasons he's getting so much flack from all these, what's the proper word? Assholes, I believe is the technical term.
I didn't know you could swear on TV. Oh, we're going to have a great segment next time.
Is because if he actually tries to do things honestly, he's going to mess things up for people.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to shake the system up. I'm going to turn it upside down.
And that
Somebody's got
to
to do it, Avi. There needs to be real fundamental change.
Agreed. Anyway, at this point, we're out of town. Out of town. Actually, we're in town, but we're out of
Chicago.
time. I want to thank you very much, Scott Lee
Come on,
Cohen.
it's my pleasure.
Okay. And anyway, thanks so much. It's always a pleasure to have you. And we're going to have you on again for at least a double segment after the election.
No problem. I look forward to it.
Great. Thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you, Avi.